Hello, everybody. This is Noah and John, and we are from UrbanDigs, and it is Monday. So you're going to get your Brooklyn weekly market update. Johnny, welcome back. Let's get right to it. I'm looking at Brooklyn supply, 3,381. Looks like it's topping out just a little bit. Show me those charts, Johnny.
Yeah, thanks, Noah. Good to be back and looking at Brooklyn supply overall down a little over 1% on the week. It's down 21% compared to where it was last year. And the supply in Brooklyn, similar to Manhattan this season, has been somewhat lackluster, Noah.
Yeah, it's not skyrocketing at all. I think what's going on outside of our markets in terms of inventory is quite different than what's going on
Yeah.
in our little world of New York City real estate right here. And as far as I can see in Manhattan and Brooklyn, is we're having a seasonal listing wave, and both those seasonal listing waves seem sluggish to me, coming in light. So that pressure on supply to go much, much higher is just not there. We'll see if that changes at all as time goes on. Let's shift to Brooklyn demand, Johnny. Pending sales, 2,168. Show me that chart.
Well, this trend remains intact. So pending sales are down another 2% on the week. And really, we're watching them reset from those higher levels set during those frothy periods earlier this year. And, looking forward, at some point, it's going to level out. I'm not sure when that's going to be, especially, if we start looking at the weeklies. It really depends on what that contract volume looks like. And we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, and we have to just know where we are, right? And September is the most sluggish month, and October is when the deals start happening, and it's October 3rd. So we just finished our sluggish month of the calendar year, and we're going into the month where we're supposed to see that bump. It's just too soon. We got to wait for this month to play out. And if I look at the market pulse in Brooklyn and go to this chart for just a second, I want you guys to take a look at this. I mean, it held on. It held on for a long time, and then it had that shift down from sell side territory into about the mid neutral zone, right? That's about as far as we got versus Manhattan, which is approaching buy side territory right now. And if you notice on this market pulse chart, look right there, it's ticking back up. So I have to be unbiased and independent here. Typically, I look at something like that and I would say this is like a buy signal. This is like a buy. It's no longer actively falling. Supply is topping out. Pending sales looks like it might be bottoming a little bit for this cycle. This is supposed to be when deal volume goes up and listing volume goes down a little bit. So the pulse might be pressured to go higher. So from a buyer's perspective, maybe you're seeing peak leverage right now in Brooklyn and it's just going the other way, which does not jive with the macro environment. This is why I think our markets are just doing their own thing, Johnny.
Yeah, and I just, while you're on this pulse chart, which I think is an interesting corollary. If you look back at last September, right? Last September through November, right? You see sort of the similar pattern, except it started lower and then didn't get as low. So this September, you're starting from a higher point. It fell a little bit farther, a little bit faster, and you got that little tick up. So, I completely agree with your earlier assessment here, Noah.
Yeah, and you know what? Now that you said that, I didn't even realize it. Look at this. It looks like they both bottomed right in the same area. It looks like there's a little bit of a support zone going on right in that mid-neutral market in Brooklyn. Very interesting, Johnny. Let's go to the Brooklyn weeklies, see if there's any information there telling us what's happening. I look at Brooklyn supply, 185 things, down 25%. Johnny, show me those charts.
Yeah, I mean, look, we had some holidays this week, so it could be related to that. However, when you look at this historical chart, you're used to seeing these weekly pops right after Labor Day, and you're seeing that fade every week since, generally speaking. We didn't really see a pop, but we're certainly seeing the fade. I mean, weekly new actives are down, as you said, roughly 25% on the week. And, it just kind of goes back to the idea that supply in Brooklyn right now is lackluster, no. And that really is a bullish sign for that pulse chart, right? Because if you're not getting a deluge of supply, right, the choices that buyers have are still constrained.
Yeah, and it's going to mute. It's going to mute whatever the depth of this down cycle is. I mean, it's just sellers are just not interested. They're just not interested. When the market's not giving them what they want, they're you know what? I'll go rent it. I'll go off market for a little while. Not as many sellers are coming onto the market. All of this combined is actually what's happening right now. It's quite an interesting mix of dynamic forces. I love it because it makes our job a little bit more mysterious, and markets are great when they're mysterious because we need to dissect them. Johnny, let's go to the contract signed, the level of deal volume for Brooklyn on a weekly basis, 128 things. Nice little tick up. Show me those charts.
Yeah, well, speaking of mysteries, this is an interesting one, right? This is, as you said, we're up 23% from the week before, but look at it compared to where we were last year and the year before, 2020, right? So you saw those pops in both of those years right around this time. This year, haven't seen it. We're up certainly on the week, but however, are we up on the year in terms of where we were normally in the fall? The answer is no. In fact, we're down from where we were right after Labor Day. So this sort of fall season in Brooklyn is shaping up to be a bit of a mystery because we don't quite know exactly where it's going to go.
Yeah, a mystery wrapped in a Twinkie or something that's going on over there. I don't know. I'm going to go to the 1 month, 30-day contract sign. We're at 463. For September, 510 is your seasonal average for September. So we came in light. We came in
Mhm.
light. I believe Manhattan was just at their average, but you know what? Everything is light as far as I'm concerned. Deal volumes on the lighter side, listing
And
inventories on the lighter side. Yeah.
And you're exactly right. And that's what's, I think that's really the important point is you can't look at these, you can't look at supply light, you can't look at contract size light and sort of make any kind of independent conclusion. You have to look at these things together. And when you put them together, it's like the entire market though is ratcheting down to normal, sort more normal seasonal level together. And that, as you said earlier, is really going to support the pulse because it's really sort of supporting this market. So it's as if the market as a
Yeah.
whole is just deflating, not the buyers aren't stepping away and the sellers are stepping up. The sellers aren't stepping away and the buyers are stepping up. So you don't have these massive imbalances one way or the other, which are going to really shock things. It's as if everything's just kind of coalescing a little bit slowly together.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it, Johnny. And let's go break down this inventory in Brooklyn as best as we can. And I want to just look at a chart that dissects what the inventory is made of in terms of days on market. Are there a lot of stale listings in there or a lot of fresh listings in there? And here's your chart. And I just want to go over this really quick. First off, you got your total inventory in these blue bars. You could see it's trending down. All right. So that's what's going on right there. And that's normal for the seasonal time. Now I want you to look at these colors because we got the under 30 fresh. Let's call that the fresh stuff, right? In red. And then you got the other stuff in orange, green, and you got the stale stuff in orange. Look at look at 30 to 60, 60, 120, and over 120. All of them are going down.
Mhm.
All of them are going down. The only one that's ticking up sharply and actually is at a highest level this year right now is the under 30-day market. So we're starting to see new supply come on this market. Even though it's sluggish, it's relatively more than what we've seen. So from a buyer's perspective, I mean, are you seeing this bounce? Are you seeing a lot of stuff come on that's fresh? I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's being offset by the fact that the stale stuff is going down. And that's
Mhm.
why inventory is going down. But at least it's telling us that there was a little bit of listings that came on the market in the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks. And again, when I look at inventory going down right there, it just confuses me because you're like, all right, the 30-day stuff is going up, but all the other stuff is going down. What's going on here? And that's why we're saying this market is so mysterious here. So
Right.
I don't know if buyers are feeling, oh my God, I got all of this inventory and I could just choose what I want and I got all this leverage. I don't know, but it is interesting to see that tick up of that fresh stuff in the Brooklyn inventory sphere, I should say.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I think this is actually sort of a bullish sign for sellers here, no? Because if you're a buyer, right, where you're expecting inventory to rise, you're expecting a little bit more competition among sellers. And this is exactly what this chart is showing is not happening, right? Because you get listings coming off just as listings are coming on. And typically the listings coming on are a little bit more resistant to start cutting prices into negotiation because they haven't been on the market all that long. So again, this goes back to the idea that everything is kind of, shrinking slowly together. So you have some of the old sellers coming off the market at the same time the new wave of sellers coming on. They're going to be a little bit stickier, which basically says if you're a buyer, yes, you've got some choice, but you don't exactly have the negotiation you thought you might have. So
Right.
it's a bit of a balancing act. So you got to take the good with the bad here.
Yeah, that's a great point, Johnny. Thank you for bringing that all up. All these charts together are starting to paint a little bit of a picture. I think we've had an adjustment in both markets. It looks like Manhattan has a more notable adjustment than Brooklyn. Brooklyn is starting to show some signs of turning around. Manhattan, not so much as of yet, but I'm sure it may show a little bit as the next few weeks come on. But in both cases, we're just reset to a brand new lower level of activity based on where we're from. And that's the main narrative here. The main narrative here is that we shifted from a
Yeah.
very record activity, high liquidity, sell side price action going up to a completely different set of attributes that govern today's market today. And we're going to take this one step at a time. And the next couple of months are really going to reveal a lot about this down cycle. And we'll just pass that on as we go. Okay. Johnny, thank you for pulling up all this data. That is John Walkup. I am Noah Rosenblatt. We are both from UrbanDigs. Don't forget, you got questions, we got answers. Please visit our forum right over here. If you want any of the charts that John whipped up, they're going to be right over here in just a few seconds. If you've never tried UrbanDigs before, what are you waiting for? 2 weeks free. Go register, give it a try. Other than that, this has been your Brooklyn Weekly Market Update, and we'll catch you next time.